What's going on, good people? Rich here.
School in the building.
Ray P on the mic. What's going on, y'all?
Back at it again with another episode of the Culture Garden Podcast. Episode 27, I believe.
Exclusive.
Yeah, I think so. Episode 27. School, man. Welcome back. We missed you last week.
Welcome back.
Hey, what's that?
School said I went. School said I watch y'all talk about drumline before. But shout out to everybody that checked out our drumline episode. Yes. Shout out to Brian for joining us.
What up,
yes,
B?
Brian.
Yeah, that was his third episode, I believe, or second. Either way, third, because he did No Country House Party in that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know Brian will be back at some point for something else we'll talk about. So most importantly, thank y'all for checking us out, for continuing to rock with us. Leaving your comments, sharing it. A lot of people shared posts and all types of stuff. It was real cool to see. So
it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. We appreciate all y'all. I really can't say it enough. I don't think the words are really. I say it every week, but I don't know if y'all really feel where we come from when we say like we thank y'all for this.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, continue to subscribe, share it with your friends. Anybody who likes movies, rate it, review it, leave comments, the whole nine. Like it really goes a long way. And we're interactive. We will definitely have any conversation with you at any point. Like I said, you can reach out to us on our own individual social media handles. At the Culture Garden Podcast on Instagram. We're working on getting a Twitter set up, TikTok, all that, because we know that's how the kids rock these days. So bear with us 30-year-olds as we get into things. But as everybody knows or should know, we had a Black Panther ticket giveaway.
Yes.
So we actually did have people. Shout out to everybody for submitting their names and entries and leaving us reviews.
Appreciate you.
This won't be the last giveaway we do. But Richard won the giveaway.
What's
Richard?
up?
Yeah, Rich gets it in on Instagram.
Rich gets it in.
So yeah, 2 tickets to Black Panther. I will reach out to you and we'll get everything set up. So obviously we won't dictate what day you go, but we'll make sure you have some tickets for it and hopefully you have a good time. And that leads into today's episode, which is, you can see the title, Black Panther.
OG.
It only made sense since the sequel's coming out this week that we talk about the original and what a time it was for the culture in 2018.
Absolutely.
It came out.
What a Black History Month.
Yeah, absolutely. 28, like that was. We'll talk about it a little bit in depth, but in depth. I didn't mean to say death. In depth, but yeah, what a time. Yeah. So it was released February 16th, 2018, the 18th film in the MCU, which stands for Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. Directed by Ryan Coogler, and it was written by Ryan Coogler, Joe Robert Cole, and Stan Lee. He gets a writing credit because he's a co-creator of Black Panther, the character. I think this might have been the last film that Stan Lee was a part of before he passed or had a cameo. If anybody who's familiar with the MCU, he has a cameo in every single Marvel movie. And I believe this might have been the last one. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty
Endgame?
I thought it was Captain Marvel.
Was he in those? It might be. Yeah, you guys might be right. Yeah. I know he was in all of them, but
I haven't seen it, but I feel like
I can't remember. You might be had a budget of 200 million, and let's just say it recouped its money.
Yeah.
It made just over 1.3 billion with a B. The highest grossing non-Avenger movie in the MCU. So any standalone, more than Iron Man and all the other ones. And it's the 9th highest grossing film of all time. Any genre, like just 9th of all time.
Wow.
4th at the time of release.
Like you just said, the 200 mil. It cost about 200 mil to make it. Made that weekend. That's insane.
And I think it only took 24 days to get to a billion. There was a number with 24 days, and I don't know if it reached $1 billion that time or something crazy, but it was insane. And I just love us for that, for going out and supporting this film. That Black Dollar, man, goes a long way.
I saw Black Panther like 3 times in the theater.
Yeah, I think we all
so good.
It was, and A, the support of it, and B, it was just a fun, good movie. We'll get into like the MCU part of it, but you didn't have to be a comic fan or anything like that, or even seen an MCU movie to really follow what was going on, and really, it was very Black. I figured that was. This film is currently streaming on Disney Plus, as all the Marvel movies are, as far as the MCU goes. And as far as awards, a ton of different organizations it was nominated for. In total, it had 281 nominations, 116 wins.
Yes.
Just to highlight a few of the big ones, it won 3 Oscars. I think that should be said. For Best Original Score, Ludwig Göransson, if I pronounce his name right, him or his or her. Best Achievement in Costume Design, Ruth E. Carter. She was the first Black person to win. And Best Achievement in Production Design, Hannah Beachler and Jay Hart. And Hannah is the first Black person to win that award. It was nominated for Best Picture, the only superhero movie in history to be nominated for Best Picture.
That's crazy.
In 2018. I guess it would have been the 2019. SAG Awards, Screen Actor Guild, big time. It won for Best Outstanding Performance by a cast in a motion picture. So the whole cast and the stunt team, they both won that award. The African American Film Critics Association, it won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Song, which was All of the Stars, Kendrick, SZA. And the Black Reel Awards, it won Most Outstanding Motion Picture, Outstanding Actor for Chadwick, Outstanding Director for Ryan Coogler, Outstanding Supporting Actor. I think that was for Letitia, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was for Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Outstanding Ensemble, Outstanding Original Song, Outstanding Breakthrough Performance for Winston Duke and Letitia Wright. They both won the male and female category. Rachel, we know how you feel about, or I do at least, how you feel about Winston Duke.
Come on, big dog. Stomping with the big dogs.
This is what happens when your co-host is your peoples. And you know, I know how Rachel feel about Winston Duke. We done had conversations about a ton of things.
Man.
An outstanding costume design and production design for the Black Reel Awards. But like I said, many organizations, many awards blessed this film and it got everything that it deserved in that regards. Like, I can't stress enough, like, it was nominated for Best Picture. Like, you don't think of a Marvel movie or Black Panther and say this is going to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. And it's just incredible. Let's talk about the cast a little bit, and then we'll kind of get into our own conversation about this whole thing. So obviously you have Chadwick Boseman, the late, great Chadwick Boseman as King T'Challa. Michael B. Jordan is Eric Killmonger. Before I even go on, can we just talk about how star-studded and incredible this cast is?
Crazy.
Like, as I was writing the names down, and obviously you know it from watching it, but when you write them, it's just more of a like, what?
Yes.
Like Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, Danai Gurira as Okoye, Martin Freeman as Everett Ross, Daniel Kaluuya as Wakabi, Letitia Wright as Shuri, Winston Duke as M'Baku, Sterling K. Brown as Njobu. Sterling K. Brown, like,
for the 10 minutes that he has, man,
like, he's just
every minute.
If that's your, I relate this to like sports and basketball team. Like, if this is an NBA team and that's your 10th man, then you're not losing.
No.
Like, the fact that you get somebody that good in a role like that.
Of course.
Like, Sterling K. Brown is a beast.
Yes.
Angela Bassett has another person that, like I said, low down the call list, but she needs no introduction. Forrest Whitaker is Zuri. Andy Serkis, who played Ulysses Claw, and Florence Kasumba as Ayo. Many more people were in here, but star-studded cast from top to bottom. Chadwick, I think, was introduced into the MCU in 2016 in Captain America: Civil War. That was Black Panther's first appearance. And then obviously we had this movie, and then we had the two Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame, where he appeared in. I don't think that you can get better than Chadwick. I mean, I think that was perfect casting. I can't think of anybody else who could have done that. Or probably could have, but would have resonated the same way.
Nah.
I'm so anxious for Black Panther 2, and I know that they are going to memorialize him and, pay tribute, but the Black Panther universe itself is so big, and the comics themselves go in so many various ways as far as the Black Panther. And maybe we can get to this, I just don't know who can hold that mantle in Hollywood behind the late Chadwick Boseman.
So, all right, let's get into this conversation now. Not necessarily who can do it, but how do you feel? And we'll start with you, Rachel, since we kicked off the conversation. How do you feel about T'Challa, the character, not being recast? because that was a big discussion amongst people who, especially people who are fans of the comic, because
Yeah.
the character himself has a bigger story.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of representation, like this character should still be around because there's more to the story to be told versus real life where Chadwick, I think we all felt a gut punch that morning when we woke up and found out Chadwick passed. Like that, it was so unexpected. And he had done so many things and played so many iconic people within our culture. You know, James Brown, Jackie Robinson,
Thurgood Marshall.
like, just so many things. He meant a lot to us, and I think it was one of those things where I think everybody realized it. I don't know. We all realized it, but you really knew once it was like once you heard he passed. Like, dang, like I didn't even know I rocked with Chadwick that hard.
That's a fact.
But
it hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely hurt. It definitely hurt. But yeah, how do you feel about that? Him not the character not being recast?
I have mixed feelings for all of those reasons. One, like I said, who is gonna be Black Panther? Who is gonna be T'Challa after Chadwick Boseman? Again, somebody who has played almost every iconic Black person role historically, you know what I'm saying? But like you said, there is so much more story to tell, but I just don't know who do you trust to do it? A new name? John David Washington? Like who can do it? I don't know.
Actually, dang, Rachel, that's pretty interesting. That's a good one. I think it would have to be somebody like that or I don't want to say no name, all due respect, but somebody that we don't know as somebody else. It has to be.
And I would want them to be an American Black actor.
Absolutely. Or African, like one of the two. Since it's placed in Africa, but I agree. School, what about you? How do you feel about that scenario?
This, as you guys all know, we don't have these conversations. This is organic as they can be. But I did have a conversation with you about this particular situation
about a couple months ago.
About them for the real fans, the people that read the comic books. Like, I felt they should have replaced T'Challa and moved on with the story, but I get why they didn't. I get why they didn't. You can't. Somebody like Chadwick was so important. You can't. He can't pass, and we not address this. Like, you just can't do that. So I get why, but honestly, I would have liked them to recast it and continued on with the storyline. So that's just me.
I think I'm a mix of both of your answers. I think at some point, I think it's beneficial to have that story continue to be told, and will kind of be dug into a little bit deeper. Especially like I said, for representation and what it means. But it was just way too soon. Like I couldn't. Watching Black Panther in preparation for this episode, put a battery in my back for the sequel. Like I wasn't amped about the sequel, not because I don't think it's going to be good, but because we have to go in there and memorialize Chadwick Boseman. Like he was still one on the call list on set. Like his name was still there. He's still their king. He has so much. There's so much reverence and so much respect for him from the whole cast and just. Not just the cast of the movie, the whole Marvel universe and just everything. And it's just difficult. Right?
Everybody who's worked with him has that same reverence for him. So that just speaks to who he was outside of character, just in general, to his work ethic, to his demeanor, his character. Like, what a loss.
Yeah. Even the way the closest people to him knew about it. It wasn't even Ryan Coogler was shocked. Kevin Feige was I probably mispronounced his last name. I can't remember how you say it, but the president of Marvel. He was they were all caught off guard by that news that he passed. Nobody really knew. He already was diagnosed with colon cancer when he was filming this movie.
He filmed the Five Bloods going through treatment. Sick as hell, and still gave a real performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So he brought it every single time. I mean, Chadwick, you were like tremendously missed. And I appreciate them taking the time to let it breathe a little bit. Let's continue this story because in the comics, no spoiler alert, no spoiler alert, whatever. In the comics, Shuri does become Black Panther.
Right.
She does become Black Panther, and I'm assuming that's where they're going to take this one. And I'm comfortable with that because I think this movie is a little too soon to have somebody new play T'Challa himself. Now I'm interested if they're going to make it to where T'Challa can come back. Like, are they going to have a funeral for T'Challa himself? Like, how are they going to handle that? I'm not sure. We'll find out this weekend. But that's going to be very interesting to see. But I think it's too soon to do it now. But by the next time they do another Black Panther, especially if you don't have, that's one big important part. Ryan Coogler, this cast, like they were all there. Like they have some kind of special connection. Like it's, I don't want to do that when I'm not a part of this no more.
Yeah.
Question, and I'm curious because I don't know if this to be true. When they originally planned for the sequel, Ryan Coogler was not attached. Am I correct?
I believe so. Yeah, Ryan Coogler was not attached. He came back and
when Chadwick passed, he came back and signed on, which makes sense. You gotta honor this man, and I don't think it would have been done correctly if Ryan didn't do it.
Right.
And I haven't even seen it yet, but I already know it's
Yeah.
the previews, everything has been, and I've been in my fields just watching those. So
Yeah.
I already know what this is about to be. We going to the wake. Is basically how I feel.
Yeah, we're going to the wake. We're gonna honor our king.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a weeping willow.
Like I said, I wasn't I knew it was gonna be a rough time in that theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be like, especially with other people there, like because I know people are gonna be in the theater crying next to me, and it's gonna make me like,
it's gonna be rough,
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, very well said. We just miss you, Chadwick. That's pretty
Absolutely.
much miss you, and the impact that you had on a whole generation and what you did for the culture cannot be said enough. And we'll have more Chadwick movies, and we'll have a Chadwick episode at some point, but definitely want to give him his flowers. Want to give Ryan Coogler his flowers because that
absolutely.
Ryan doesn't miss, man. He's a genius, and for him to be our age, he was the youngest director ever in a Marvel movie, like at 31 years old, I believe.
Crazy.
To have the reins over a $200 million project and be so
crazy.
Serious. Kid from Oakland, from the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Area.
Yeah, and to do that and still make it authentic, make sure Wakanda and the African culture was represented right, even though he was involved. Like you wouldn't even think that goes together. But Ryan did his thing, man. Shout out.
Not to segue too far, but that is why I am very interested to see what he does with Creed 3 now that he's back, because he wasn't a part of Creed 2, and it wasn't as good as Creed 1. So I'm very excited to see that his homecoming to that.
Right.
Well.
And I believe, because I know Michael B. Jordan's directing. Is he writing?
Yes,
okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And producing, I think.
Okay.
Got
you. Yeah. And just talking about Ryan, it was Ryan's, just piggybacking off what you just said, School. Yeah. Ryan was the one that went to Marvel and said, hey, like, I know y'all do everything in-house. Like, y'all got your own cinematographers, but if y'all want me, I need a couple of my people. Like, because the whole intent was not because he's Ryan Coogler and he got to have his way. It was more so like, this movie means something to me. Like, I read these comics growing up, and I wanted to have a different feel from the rest of the movies that y'all have. And some of the people he brought in, obviously, he's a big collaborator with Michael B. Jordan. So Michael B. Jordan first got cast. It was like for an unknown role. He just said, I know I want you in this movie. And the two Oscars that we talked about, Ludwig for Best Original Score and Hannah for Best Production Design, that's because he worked with them in the past. They weren't a part of anything. He asked them to come on and Oscars. Yeah. So everything he knows what's going on. He sees the vision. Some people just have a gift to do. And that was Ryan. And he just, I think the thing about, I said it earlier, Black Panther is it can be a standalone movie. Like Rachel, I'm sure you haven't gone through and watched every single Marvel movie.
No, but I have considered doing so. I just have to find the time when I'm not binging a random show.
Yeah. I do have a question for y'all. Okay. Michael B. Jordan. Go ahead, Rachel.
Was this his best performance?
I was going to ask you that.
That's what I have written down. Probably. Yeah.
It's between this or Creed, and I'm probably going to give the edge to this.
Fruitvale Station. We're not.
Nah, Fruitvale Station was good.
No.
It's just one of those movies where you can only watch it
too
once,
dramatic, too
and
much.
that's 2013. Michael B. Jordan. I've said this on this podcast before. I think he's more of a movie star than he is an actor. And that's no shade to him. Because the one thing I want to give him credit for, he gets better at each performance, in my opinion. Like, I've been a Michael B. Jordan fan since like 2009, and I know he was in my favorite show of all time. But 2009, when he was in Friday Night Lights as Vince Howard, is when I really was like, oh, okay, then, like, cool. And then he was in Chronicle, and he was in Red Tails in 2012, and then you just kind of sort of see him rise until he gets to that Creed area. And I just think that each performance has gotten a little bit like Just Mercy, even though Jamie Foxx tore the walls off of Just Mercy.
Come on.
I think Michael B. Jordan deserves some credit for getting better at his craft. And I didn't think that in his early career. I just thought, like, hey, he's a movie star. He can bring people to the box office, but as far as an actor, I got to give him some credit.
Can I say something? And I'm glad you brought this up, because I felt like I was going to get dogs for even saying this. There are moments in this movie and with Michael's performance that's a little over the top, that you're like, ooh, you know what I mean? But
you can tell. So you can tell Chadwick. You can tell he went to school, like he studied in the arts and you know all of that. Versus,
shout out to Denzel.
Yeah, shout out to Denzel.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you don't, Google's your friend.
Yeah.
And you can tell somebody like Michael B. Jordan started off as a child like model and commercial actor, and just kind of came in self-taught. I'm sure he's had classes and things, but he didn't go to school and study for that. And you can see the difference. And acting is hard. Let me say that. Like, acting is hard. It's difficult. It's one of those things where I think everybody looks at it and says, I could probably do that. Like, act like a person, sure. But once you actually start, like, it's difficult. Like, it's difficult to get in the character. So yeah, you can tell the difference between people like Chadwick and him, but he did his thing. Like, Michael, I'm saying all this to say, Michael B. Jordan really did his thing. I think this was his best performance. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
And let me say this. I think that he does better when he does not have to carry the drama of the film, the show, whatever. So you spoke to Just Mercy. Jamie Foxx is going to make you step your shit up. And just the nature of that movie itself, Jamie did the heavy lifting, you know. Shout out to his role. You know, he really did well in Just Mercy as well.
Yeah.
But it's Jamie, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with this. I'm not looking at Chadwick Boseman and the Angela Bassett and not gonna do my best and bring my A game. Like, I'm sure he probably took some classes leading up to. And so, to your point, School, I think there was a little bit of overacting, but I'm gonna give that for trying to get that A plus for effort.
Yeah.
Because of the other names in the film.
Yes.
If we go back to my sports analogy, 2010 Heat. Like, if Michael B. Jordan is your Dwayne Wade, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
Your second best, third best, you know, person on the call list or on screen, you're absolutely gonna kill that movie, because he's good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like you just said, Rachel, if he's your number one, yes, you can still have a good movie and enjoyable. I don't think it elevates to a certain level, but I think he's gonna get there at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see what happens. You know,
I think when he's not the lead, you just see that he has to work a little bit harder at it. Like, it's easier to sort of nitpick what he doesn't get right, because he is essentially the face of whatever it is that we're watching.
Yeah, because if you flip Chadwick and Michael B. Jordan, this is a completely different movie. You know what I mean?
20,000.
If Michael B. Jordan is King T'Challa and Chadwick is Killmonger, it's completely different.
Chadwick's still gonna smoke that, but it's not gonna.
Yeah. To Michael's credit, Chadwick's smoking 99% of people that stand next to him.
But
exactly,
he's gonna smoke it, and you're really gonna be Team Killmonger. Like, you're gonna leave this film like, I'm Team Killmonger.
So let's say that here for a second. So let's get into classic or not.
Yes.
School. Classic.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I don't think that can be questioned. This is a unanimous classic. Um, I said it earlier. I don't know if you can really put into words what this film did for the culture. This
Mhm.
was our this was our Star Wars. This was our Harry
Yes.
Potter. This was our
Yes.
Lord of the Rings. This is
Yes.
where
Yeah.
All that.
we showed up in, African,
Costumes, all that.
you know,
Garb.
and garments
Mhm.
and just showed out in the theaters. And
Yes.
one of my favorite parts about this film releasing the award shows and the parties that the cast and Black Hollywood went
Yeah.
to, and they were just in these spaces that you could tell weren't used to having so many of us, and they were
Mhm.
so black.
Mhm.
Authentically not being extra, just themselves,
That's
Yes.
what.
and really enjoying each other.
hmm Just having fun, like you would
Yeah.
out at the kickback or whatever. Like it was
Yes.
just, yes, there are other people here, but really we just here.
Yeah.
We here.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I love that. I love seeing those videos. I love seeing them just all the camaraderie and just hanging and just Ray's favorite person, Lena Waithe, and just everybody just kind of coming together and supporting this film and supporting each other. It was just beautiful to see.
Remind me of Queen and Slim. Man.
Beat your ass.
Uh, yeah, and you were just interested in these characters, and I love how, like I said, everybody showed up.
Mhm.
Ryan Coogler said the central themes of this film were responsibility and identity, and I think that really showed
Okay.
on the film, and that's something that we all can relate to. A
Mhm.
lot of things, I think that's why it hit so hard for a lot of us, is because we can still relate to a lot of these themes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Killmonger and his whole plight and what his ideas were and ideologies and whether it was right or not. But Coogler brought in African consultants to work on defining Wakanda. You can tell they put the effort into it. They didn't
Yeah.
just say this movie's based out of some fictional country in Africa.
Mhm.
Like, let's just do what we want to. Like, nah, let's make it as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that the Black Panther was originally like in talks to be played by Wesley Snipes back in like 1992.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
back in
okay.
1992, like Wesley Snipes got a hold of this film and was like kind of in control of it.
Mhm.
And for the longest, tried to get this film made. And it bounced around, and it like early 2000s, like 2001 ish. There was a possible lead, and he was going to do the Blade, I think the third Blade, which is
Okay.
also a Marvel movie, and they just
Yep.
thought it was a little bit too much overkill.
Got
Um,
it.
like Panther at this time, this is way before the MCU. It was not Marvel didn't have it. Columbia Pictures had the movie, so
Hmm.
Marvel bought it back in 2005 once they knew we're going to make this universe. But you have people like John Singleton, F. Gary Gray, that were attached to direct back in the day, and like I said, it just kind of stayed dormant, and then Chadwick was cast without having an audition. The only person that was close to, there was no director yet. The person that was closest to directing this was Ava DuVernay.
Hmm. I
She,
think I remember that.
but she didn't. They didn't agree on the vision of the film. She met with Marvel, and they just had two completely different visions of what Black Panther looks like.
Yeah.
And that's when Creed came out, and it was a big box office success. And
Mhm.
Hmm.
hey, Ryan, what's up? Can we get back in talks? So they had some talks before, and then
Yeah.
they got back into it, and that's when he said, "Hey, I'll do it. I just need a couple of my people with me, and we on." And the rest, as they say, is
The rest
history.
is history.
Was Killmonger wrong?
Yes.
Killmonger was wrong.
Yes. What the hell?
There's a lot of Killmonger defenders that
I
say,
know. I wrote down Killmonger was a Hotep's fucking fantasy.
mm,
Um, he
mm,
is wrong as hell.
because I remember
He's
when this film came out, there were a lot of people that were looking at him like, all right, he's not a villain. He is somebody who sees an issue, because we have the themes of, here y'all are with all these resources. There's people around us all over the world that are struggling. Like, help us out. Like, please help us out. Like I said, that responsibility of, I think Ryan Coogler even had a quote pretty much saying, like, what do you do when you have that much power? Like,
Right.
there are neighboring in Wakanda, even though it's fictional, there's neighboring countries around you that are struggling. Like, are you going to help them out, or are you just going to help yourself? Because if you're only helping yourself, then what's the point of having the power? Like, it's a big parallel and a big cycle. So, I understood the frustration and where he was coming from, but yeah,
yes.
bro, you don't
Yes.
go about it that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly that. I mean, that's what Nakia was doing. She was a spy. She was infiltrating abusers camps and trying to liberate women and this, that, and the third. Like, there are ways to go about liberation, but trying to overthrow, because honestly, how much of Killmonger's vendetta and his motive or MO was about truly liberating black and brown people across the globe, and his personal vendetta against T'Challa and Wakanda.
Right. I know a lot of that had to play into part of it. That's a good
Like, come on, dog. You don't do that. You
What
don't
do
get a nigga back like that.
What's your thought? What's your thoughts on that as far as his method, the method to his madness?
The method to the madness is fucked up. It really is. Like, but
He was an abuser.
Yeah, I get it though. Like, it's very frustrating.
So let me ask both of you this then: do you sympathize with
Absolutely.
him? If you take a look at, so his mother died in prison. He found his dad, as he said, with panther claws in his chest.
That's sad.
No notice, no warning. Like, he grew up with no parents, with a lot of anger, which is
horrible.
A lot of stuff that we see.
At such radicalized by the U.S. government.
Like, that's real.
Yeah.
So when
he's a case study.
At such a young age, is there any sympathy that you have for them? Like, this kid
yes. But that's still not the way to go about it. That's still not the way to go about your frustration. And he has a valid argument. Like, you get no qualms for me there. You have a valid beef with Wakanda, T'Challa by proxy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're justified in that. Are you justified in killing other people to get here? Are you justified in essentially, quote unquote, killing T'Challa so you can overthrow the government and send these weapons of mass destruction across the world that these motherfuckers don't know how to work? So it's gonna be the blind leading the blind. Like, are you crazy? That is not how you do that. Go ahead. Oh, and like, even with setting the purple herb, the heart-shaped purple herb on fire, nigga, even if you would have stayed king, you don't think you're going to have an heir? Why are you damaging everything that is pertinent to who we are as a people and critical to our success for your own ego?
I think that was the message.
Yeah, that's
I think that was the message.
Yeah, you turn it into the people you hate.
Exactly. Sit your ass down somewhere.
Yeah. And I think the biggest, the most, I don't want to say frustrating, the saddest part, I think, is like, he was low-key a genius. Like, when they ran off, like, he graduated at 19 and then went to MIT after. Like, not a lot of people getting an MIT, like, just straight
period.
Up.
Right.
At a young age like that. So
that shows you that motivation, that's when you're upset, or when you have when you have the right motivation, anything is possible. Basically. Like,
right.
All he wanted was to get to Wakanda, and he was willing to do any and everything to get there. You see his body, all the people he killed, all that.
And it makes me, I guess, a little bit sad that that type of is never molded correctly. And I think that's another thing. That it's always molded in a way. You have these geniuses in these areas, and they never reach their full potential as far as what they could be versus what their environment told them to be. One of the most heartbreaking things in this film was when he went to the ancestral plane, when Killmonger went, and he goes to the old apartment, and Sterling came down. Prince Njobu was like, "No tears for me." He was like, "Everybody dies." Like,
everybody dies.
Like, just kind of like that whole, and then his dad said it like, "Well, look what I've done." Like, he kind of realized it. Like, man, like I should have like taken you back before that. Like, your mindset is so clouded from your environment. Like, that should never. That's the kid version of him saying that. Like, everybody like didn't have that mindset at that age. So it's just nuts, man. It's just nuts how that works. But Killmonger is an interesting case study, as you said, Rachel, to break down. And I don't know if anybody's. Well, I know you haven't. But what if there's an animated series on Disney Plus? What if it's a Marvel? Pretty much just like, what if this happened? What if that happened? And there's an episode what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? If anybody's seen the original Iron Man, what happened at the beginning of that movie? If Killmonger was the one to save him from that, how that would have looked. It's just interesting into that. It kind of builds into more of what we're talking about and what Killmonger's true intentions are and things of that. He's very manipulative. He knew how to get what he needed. He was trained to do it too.
Well, yeah, shit. You see how he tricked old girl? Shit, she thought they was Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, he shot her. Okay, yeah, you easily dispensable, and that's just kind of what it is. But the motivation, he had to get what he wanted. He said it. I've been waiting all these kills just to kill you.
Yep.
Right.
So, man, it's a crazy thing. Before we get into like best scenes and categories, is there anybody you want to highlight? Anybody or any specific actor or theme throughout the film that stands out?
Go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
Well, I really want to shout out the character Claw, played by Andy Serkis, who also plays Caesar in the Planet of the Apes reboots. But his character, bro, is just so freaking good in this movie. The whole movie, every scene he's in, he has one-liners. He's saying something. Even when he comes and brings in the weapon, he brings it in his crotch. Like, why? Like, he just ignorant, bro. And one of the things that this movie does, and not too many movies does this, the transfer of the bad guy. Like how as soon as spoiler alert, Killmonger kills Claw, he takes on that role of being that bad guy, that one line. Right. Like he just bro, that transfer of evil is just amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he does, like you say, he was Caesar in the Planet of the Apes. He does a lot of he's not on screen a lot as far as his physical form. He does a lot of like voiceovers and they redo the face. I can't think of the correct term for that. But that was somebody that Ryan Coogler specifically said he was so impressed by how talented they were, his understanding of things, because you got to remember he only has one arm. Obviously, in real life, he has two. Yeah. So the stunts and the way he falls and stuff, like to have the awareness of this is how this is going to look if I was a person with one arm. He said every day, just physically, he did something that was just so impressive that he couldn't like believe it. So shout out to him.
And shout out to him being in the DC world as well, because he plays Alfred in Batman.
Oh yeah, he does. And the new one, the one that just came out in March of this year.
So
that feel like it came out 5 years ago for some reason, but it came out March. He's in the DC world. His intro in the MCU was in Avengers: Age of Ultron for all the fans out there. So if you want to see more Claw, that's where he came from. He's just not some random character. He's been in another movie. Same with Ross. Ross was in other MCU movies as well. And it was pretty interesting because they asked, or he had a conversation, not Andy Serkis, but what's his name? Martin Freeman, who played Everett Ross. Yeah. He had that realization and that light bulb moment of like on set, like, damn, like this is what all my co-stars feel like on a regular basis. As far as like, I'm the white guy.
White.
Like, I'm so white person, or like there's two of them to him and Claw. So just that awakening and that understanding of like being the minority and what actors have to go through, especially actors of color, black actors, the whole nine. It was just like pretty cool. His son went up to Denai at the premiere, who plays Okoye, and just gave her that was his favorite character. His son's favorite character was her.
Okay. And it was okay.
It's just like he like that representation, and like even though his son's not black, like just these characters mean something like to people. It's just it was a big deal. So I thought that was pretty cool. Rachel, what about you? Is there anybody else that you just want to highlight just randomly that you just really appreciated?
Well, it's not really so much about an appreciation thing, because I thought everybody did their thing, but this is just like a random little tidbit. But Denzel Whitaker is who plays young James or Zuri. And he also played Forrest Whitaker's son in The Great Debaters, and he played Denzel Washington's son in something else. So I just thought that was dope, just like a name, and then here you two are back together again.
And he played he was a kid in Training Day, speaking of the Macy Gray. And another little fun fact about that, he's the only actor in the whole MCU, like all the movies, he's the only person that they didn't Forrest Whitaker's character. They usually like do the face de-aging thing. They use that technology, and they say, "No, we're gonna get a real actor for this." So that's all
Yeah.
never
And
happened. So,
he plays him very well. And then I just want to shout out Chadwick again for trying to learn Xhosa. That's the South African language that they were speaking. I'm sorry, South African listeners, if they're interview, if I did not get my clicks right. 'Cause I really was trying to practice Xhosa. Sorry, I don't want to be offensive. Let me say.
it's out of respect. It's not.
Yes, absolutely out of deferential respect.
Yes.
And then as we're talking about actors, John, oh man, it's either Kanai, and I'm thinking that because of Carl Kanai. Kenny Kanai, if I'm mispronouncing that, he plays King T'Chaka.
Yes,
He
he
actually,
helped him.
yeah, he helped him. He's the one back in
Mhm.
2016. I talked about Civil War. He's the one that recommended, like, hey, let's make this the native language of Wakandans. And there's other languages that are used throughout the film, but that's the main one. And his son in real life played the younger version of King T'Chaka. So when you see who looks a lot like Chadwick, the casting is perfect. I love a good casting director.
Yes,
Get the casting on point. That's probably one of the reasons why I love Friday Night Lights, the TV series. Their casting was like some of the best ever. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And also Nelson Mandela, that's his native language. I'm sure. I think Xhosa, because it came from the Cape region of South Africa.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about best scenes. School. Let's start with you.
Well, let's get it then. Scenes.
Very interesting, man, because it's a movie where you can just put on from start to finish.
I was about to
just
say
enjoy.
The best thing about these movies about this movie is every scene is the best scene. This movie is full of scenes. Like
yeah.
There's no skips. They're not really. I don't think there's too many skips.
Yeah. The first scene I put in is my favorite scene. Is just the very first time hearing the Killmonger, the story of Sterling K. Brown telling the story of, telling the story at the beginning, how it doesn't really make sense until you watch it again, and then it makes sense. That is,
you talking about the opening?
Yes. The opening.
Okay.
Yes. It's I think that's just amazing writing in itself. Like that's just amazing. But yeah, that's the first one I have.
Rachel, what you got?
Yep, I'll do my first one. Then I have when Killmonger steals the masks from the museum. That whole first museum saying like, "Oh, how you think your ancestor got this?" You know what I'm saying? That was really, really, really good. The whole everything, the whole setup. They're scheming to portray the EMT workers and killing everybody off. Really, really, really good. Action packed. Good intro to the movie.
Yep, getting the cameras out of whack and everything like that. And y'all know me by now. I love a good tell me who this character is in the first meeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to tell me exactly who he is, but let me get a good idea. And I found that out everything. And it was a little bit more complex. The whole, like you said, you know, how you think your ancestors got these. And there's more to this guy, and he's smart, and just the way they maneuver and operate. It was just a really fun scene, like you said. I will go with the ancestral plane scene with T'Challa. Both of them actually, but really with
both of them.
pops, man. That's obviously personal for me. The whole conversation of him telling them, "I'm not ready." Like, you know, we've been raising you to be king the whole life. I'm not talking about that. I'm not ready to be without you. Like that hit for me. Obviously, I love. You know, obviously when the movie came out, my pops was still here, but afterwards not. So watching it again, it's really like, damn. But and it says the same thing too. Like, you know, I forget the exact quote, but pretty much a man who hasn't prepared his child for life after him has failed.
It's not a man.
And that's something that I always said. I think the year after my pops passed, that was one of the things like I realized, like my pops like prepared me for this. Like I got this. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. So just seeing it on screen and just seeing how that like resonates is it's obviously very personal to me. But I just love that uncertainty. I love the stand up. You're a king. Like just this is who you are. Like it don't matter who I am or what you thought you were. Like this is your role now. Like step into it. What you got next?
I got Claw at the casino, man. The casino scene, just
the whole South Korea, I think, might be my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, very good.
Just that whole, just the second Claw walks in, he takes over the scene. Like Like I said, when he's rubbing all on the FBI agent and talking about his mixtape, my mixtape coming out. You want to that chase scene?
Chase scene was incredible.
The chase scene is incredible when he talks about the music. Come on, man, put some music on, man.
Yeah, this ain't
like, oh, it's dope, man. He takes it over, man. Every scene he in,
without question.
I made it rain.
He did say that. Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that, because like I said, that might be my favorite scene in the film, just because it's nonstop action from the time they get there to the time that Killmonger breaks Claw out of the interrogation room. Like everything mattered, everything fit together, and
that technology, just showing you that Wakanda technology.
Everything
crazy. Every time you like, damn, that technology is crazy. They do something else that's like, damn, that shit crazy.
And can we just talk about how much of a G Okoye is? Like,
come on,
she is a G,
super G,
like straight up.
Does she speak English
when she wants to?
When she wants to. Yo, I got a theory. Speaking of the technology, is Wakanda what Valyria would have looked like if the Valyrians from Game of Thrones didn't get erased because Laenor would not procreate? Is this what we missed?
I think this might be it. Hey,
is Queen Mother Valorian?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
What?
Daniel Kaluuya, who plays W'Kabi in this film, said that Black Panther is the Game of Thrones of the Marvel's cinematic universe.
I feel like I remember hearing that.
That's what he said. So the fact that you saying that just reminded me of that quote. Like, damn, you might be on to something. Tell me you just watched Game of Thrones without telling me you just watched
Come on. Rhaenyra's Revenge sitting right here.
What's another scene you got, Rachel?
I'm going to go with the first challenge with big ass M'Baku whooping T'Challa's ass. Yo, I know that he ended up winning after the encouragement from Queen Mother, but could T'Challa fight for real, low-key? Or was he like just lucking up on winning these fights?
Black Panther? That's a good question. I think
because without the strength of the Black Panther, all M'Baku needed was to get on top one more time.
And it might have been over for him.
And it might have been over. Yeah. So that whole fight scene, we have watched from the mountains. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. I loved all of that shit. Like, oh, I love a boisterous ass big nigga. And so all of that. Right. Okay, I'm getting hot. I'm about to start sweating over here thinking about these niggas. All of that, loved all of that, because they was really scared because he really was kicking ass. And it could have been another way.
And you talk about making an entrance like every time, whether it was a battle at film, whether it's this, like it's people he with him and his people ride with him. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna make an entrance. Y'all gonna know we here, and I'm challenging. Like, what's up?
Period.
What's up?
Yeah.
Fun fact about that scene also. Donald Glover. It was Donald Glover's idea to add in the Shuri fake challenging, like when she raised her hand. Like, if y'all remember, are there any challengers? And can we hurry this up? Of course, set is tight, and I want to go. Yeah. Well, she did that for random. Donald Glover contributed that to the set. I just thought that was really random.
Yeah, and I thought that was stupid, girl.
Is it on me?
Yep, it's on you.
Yeah. Yep. T'Challa and Zuri. Not Shuri, Zuri, Forrest Whitaker's character. The truth of what happened with Uncle James and the whole. I just thought that was a real powerful scene. I just thought that it was one of the most important scenes because it shifted T'Challa and what he thought he was supposed to do versus what's really going on. Like, he couldn't believe that his father, someone who loves and revered and looked up to his entire life, could do something like that, especially to his own family. And then you have the flip side of it where one of the big themes is it's Wakanda over everything, like over any individual thing. Like, I chose Wakanda over my brother. You look at Okoye, like when W'Kabi said, "My love, will you kill me?" Like, for Wakanda, absolutely. Like,
absolutely.
So you see the both flip side of it, but it's just that realization, and we all go through it, no matter what it's about. We all hit a point in life where we just like, this shit ain't what I thought it was. Like,
Yep.
and now what? Now how am I going to move forward?
Exactly.
The most important part of that scene, that whole scene, is when he told that man, "I am the king now. I am your king."
Yeah,
like he was still trying to hold secrets for a former king.
Mhm.
Like that's a prime thing. Like she said, I'm sorry, what's the young lady? Shit. The main
Okoye?
Okoye, yes, Okoye. When she had to tell Nakia, like, I am for Wakanda. If he's our king, this is who I am with now. Like,
go to that throne, no matter who sits on it. Yep.
Exactly. Like, that was a good example of him trying to be loyal to a king that's no longer the king. Like, I'm the king.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Absolutely. What you got, School? Anything else?
So this is kind of out of order, but it's one of my favorite scenes is when Killmonger comes and confronts them. Like, he brings in Claw and lets them know, like, I did something that your boy couldn't do. That was his first way in for what's your boy name?
Wakabi whack ass.
Because he a sucker, bro. Because you got to figure this has literally been a week. It's only been a week for real since all this shit has happened. So for him to want all this shit so quick, it's like, yo, hey, slow down. But if you get tired of hearing, he got away again. You got away again, my brother.
He slipped through our hands. Yeah, Wakabi is a sucker, but yeah, I get it. I do that. That is one of my favorite scenes that I had that written down. Just the whole him entering, challenging, the whole nine. I just love that.
And he did it on every level. He challenged. He walked in. He talked to whoever he needed to talk to in here. Then we're gonna do this challenge. I'm gonna challenge you out here in front of everybody. Like, he did what he was supposed to do.
I don't need the whole country. I just need him.
I just need him.
All the way up until the ancestral plane when he walks into the apartment, like I said earlier, that whole scene. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have all of those written down, and then not to rewind, but King T'Chaka says he is the truth that I chose to ignore. Or he is the truth that I chose to omit. And that's a bar, because omission is a motherfucker. And I always say this. Omission is the ultimate betrayal. That's actually from Little Black Book, but
got you.
I've adopted it. But that's fucking real. And look what you omitted. Look at this big mess that we've created, or you've created. Again, I wrote down Okoye and Nakia arguing. Is this what you're loyal to? And then when M'Baku and them start barking over Agent Ross once they get to the north.
She said the north. Once they got to Winterfell, Rachel.
Once they got to Winterfell with Jabari and them.
Hey, take that privilege and get the hell out.
Exactly. You cannot speak here. I love that, because come on, assert your dominance. Like, I appreciate that.
Did you know that was improvised?
Should have been.
Oh no!
Improvise that. That was not in the script. When he's the one that started barking, like, and then that was improvised completely.
Oh, talk about killer instinct! Wow.
Yep, and it just made sense. Like, bro, we ain't have like who is colonizer in here speaking.
I love that throughout the whole movie. They kept taking shots at him any chance they could.
Another broken light bulb to fix.
Shut the move. Don't touch anything, colonizer. Like, colonizer.
And then another broken light bulb. That was just a shout out to Bucky, who Civil War, who obviously ended up in Wakanda and in credit scenes and the whole nine. But I think that's all I really had. And of course, I say the last 30 minutes of the film, just the final battle.
I had the whole final battle.
Yeah, everything the way it wrapped up. I just thought it was.
As you can see, I am not dead yet. What your boy tell him, that challenge shit is over.
Yeah, the challenge is over. He bit that. You could tell, like, can I say this? I love the you can tell that he's not from the culture. Even though he's Wakanda, he's not from that culture. Like, and that's the thing that happens to all of it. It makes me think of when people go out of country, especially Americans go out of country, and just expect everything to be
typical.
Speaking. You don't speak English, like, motherfucker, you in my country. Like, what you talking about? You don't speak. Speak
that's a fact. Because if T'Challa was from America, he would have known that he would have had to approach that differently. Ain't no way.
Yeah, just go in and change everything.
Mhm.
Like, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Best quotes. I know we always do the most recognizable quote. Wakanda Forever, I think is
Yeah, that's
gonna
right.
be. But Rachel, what do you have for your best quotes?
Again, Wakanda Forever, obviously. Hey Auntie, obviously.
Hey,
Mhm.
Where is your God now? I wrote that down. And then no powers, no claws, no special suit on, just a boy not fit to lead. They was on T'Challa ass. Are you fucking kidding me?
They were.
And then why do you have your toes out in my lab? Just because I'm in and out of labs all the time, and you really cannot have your toes out like it's a health and safety hazard.
That's
Is
really.
this is this your king?
Mhm.
And I already said he is the truth that I chose to omit because that was a bar.
Great, all great quotes.
Yes.
School with that.
The only one that I have that is not on there, the first one is well, two. I have if you say one more word, I'll feed you to my children. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Vegetarians.
Yeah.
And then the other one is did he freeze? Like an antelope in headlights. Like that was so good, bro. Like
Mhm.
perfect. That's one of my wife's favorite scenes, bro. Cause like even though you T'Challa, like you think you that guy, like when you see the woman you love,
Yeah, it's all over.
it's all over. And you gotta tell her something. Like you see how she was on his ass, and then I got that. I need you to come home. You get to telling her,
Right.
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. Another M'Baku scene or quote, I owe you the great debt, the life for a life, consider it paid.
Mhm.
Only reason I got this quote in here is because I'll explain it here in a second. But at the very beginning, in the scene where they go and get Nakia from her spy mission, and
Mhm.
Koya is freeing everybody. Speak nothing of this day. It just reminded me of Kevin Gates when he told that dumbass story about starting that lady's car with his hands.
In the back,
You know what I'm talking about? You know what we talking about, Rachel?
Nothing of this.
Yeah,
I'm scared of Kevin Gates.
I told her to speak nothing of this.
So when they say it every time I think about that, speak nothing of this day.
Man, I am weak.
King T'Chaka, talking to T'Challa, you're a good man with a good heart, and it's hard for a good man to be king.
Mhm.
That's real. A lot of people in power are just evil.
Yep.
People always say you don't become rich and powerful without being evil in this world.
That's a fact.
Hey, Auntie, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question for y'all because neither one of you said this. The bury me in the ocean, fake deep.
Okay.
Fake deep.
Wait. I love y'all to death, bro. Y'all are my people. This exact moment when I watched it for the third time is when I said, hold on, man. Michael might have been overacting a little bit. And I think it wasn't I don't think it was a good placement of the bar either, because he had just let him see the sunset of Wakanda and now you want to be tough. Like it was just
I don't even know if I took it as tough. I just think that man. All right, so let me do a little background on this. Ryan Coogler wrote this and said immediately, like, Marvel is going to take this line out of the film.
Okay.
Like
so
that was
expected.
He didn't even expect it to make the final cut. Like this is just one of those. He wrote it, and as soon as he wrote it, he said, this is going to make the movie." Kevin Feige, who is the president, said that's the best quote or some of the best writing he's ever seen, and said no matter how many revisions we do, white dude Rachel, no matter how many revisions we do in this film, like that line is staying in this film. So it's just Ryan Coogler surprised, like they kept it and said they loved it. Yeah, I get it. And yeah, if you're in the theater, especially for the first time,
shit dope.
You know, they knew that bondage was better than death was better than bondage. But with time and more watches, it's like that's a little fake deep.
And
now, them not your ancestors.
Nah,
that is not you are not the progeny of those people.
You know what? You know what?
I think he was talking about just slaves in general, like just that came over.
You know what line was better than all that?
What's up?
Hell of a move. I love that part, bro. I'll wait for that part because it's when you realize like it's over. Like
he got me.
I did all this. Look at my body. I killed all these motherfuckers to get to you, and you just hit me. Yeah, that nigga said, "Nice move, hell of a move." Like that's all you can do is pay your respect.
Yeah.
I got two more. You cannot let your father's actions define your life. You get to decide what kind of king you want to be. And one of my favorites, especially this might have been the hardest I laughed when I was watching it the first time. Are you done? Are you? Because they had that super cheesy superhero moment where everybody's talking about just having Baku. Are you done?
Are you done?
Yeah. Are you done? Like, yeah, I love that.
I love that nigga.
Yeah, dog.
Baku legend, man. Straight up. I'm glad that he's gonna be in the second one.
You couldn't make it without him. You tell me there's no T'Challa, you gotta have Baku in
there. Yeah. Without question. Let's see. Scene stealer. Rachel, who you got?
Ooh.
I know who she got.
I've said it 10,000 times. Winston Duke as M'Baku. He is just a force. And then I know acting is acting, but like his regular voice, I mean, he sounds like me, low-key. So he is not in his real quote unquote like demeanor. It is not this big swaggy ass boisterous of a man. So like, what a performance. I'm here for
that was my first time seeing him too.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw him before Black Panther, and he just stood off. He shot off screen like easily.
Yes.
I think that's my scene stealer as well. I went back and forth between Winston Duke as M'Baku, Claw, and Okoye.
Okay.
Three. Those are the three. Andy Serkis is Okoye and or excuse me, as Claw, and then
Denai Guerrera.
Yeah, as Okoye, and I ended up on Winston. Just watching it again, he just every single scene because they were in the movie a lot more. And
right.
They were still qualified as scene stealers, but literally every scene that Winston Duke was in, you were glued to him. Yeah. So he had. I think you got Claw, don't you?
Yeah, I got Claw.
I figured.
No. And he did his thing too. So Winston Duke is, man, that's crazy too because it reminds me of what's our boy from Atlanta?
Brian Tyree Henry, man.
Tyree Henry.
Completely different than Paperboy.
He broke my heart, man. I heard that man talking, was lost. Like, what?
That's a whole other conversation. I won't even get into that right now. But things that bother you. Anybody have anything that bothers them about the film?
That boy was sounding like Winston Jerome.
Shout out to all my Boondock fans out there.
I have written down so many times that Wakabi was such a sucker. Like, what is this your nigga? Like, now I'm looking at Okoye sideways. Like, this the nigga that you chose because he's a clown.
I'd have loved a little bit more Wakabi's story or like get a little bit of understanding about that. I know we understand why he turned because of the whole Claw thing, but I had the same question, Rachel. Like, how did
you really was ready to ride against your nigga who you done grew up with, known your whole life? I can even take surrendering after the challenge. Or I can take you riding for him when you first met him, when he rolled up with Claw in the body bag. He said who he was. He won the challenge. But then you had the opportunity to pause and reset before the final battle. And like, you know what? Why am I about to send my men to kill this man who I've known my whole life? You are a fuck nigga. I do not fuck with you. And maybe this is why I don't like Daniel Kaluuya. Like, I mean, he's done and said several questionable things after the fact. But like, you're not a nigga's nigga. And now I don't fuck with you. And so I got to see, and I know that he's not in Black Panther 2, but I would have loved to see Okoye. How do you reconcile this nigga? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's some treasonous motherfuckers in here.
Definitely a lot of treason going on. You definitely need to, even the fact that, how do you kill Zuri and not have any repercussions?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? In the middle of a challenge, like there's got to be more to it. So I get what you're saying. You have anything that bother you?
Nah.
I didn't have anything down like for what it was. I do agree with what you said, but I didn't write it down because I guess you need a character like that. Everybody got one.
I feel the only thing that I will say, and I don't know if this is y'all help me with this, if this is just being nitpickish. The scene where Everett, the FBI agent, gets shot. He jumps in front. The CIA agent, he jumps in front. Like, who was those other people that was there? They didn't know anything.
As far as
them just taking him, like I don't know. It's just
no, I just think that I think there was more that happened that we didn't see. But
just come with it, we'll take him. Like, and that was just cool. Like, I don't know.
I think it was one of those situations like, yo, this man just got shot in his back, and excuse me, got shot in his back. So his best chance of survival is with us. I think there was probably some pushback. That conversation was probably off screen, in my opinion. Cultural moments. I didn't have anything to bother me either. Like I said, cultural moments, the whole movie. Movie.
Yeah.
Any actors from The Wire? Finally, we get one. Michael play Wallace. Shout out to MBJ, man. So we did have an actor from The Wire. Did y'all listen to the soundtrack?
Yeah,
when it came out.
When it came out, yeah.
Soundtrack's great, man. Kendrick first soundtrack him and Top did, like really good soundtrack, very solid.
I'm upset they ain't coming back for this next one.
I know, right? Yeah, because
what y'all think of that Rihanna song?
I love that song. She loves it. She sings it every day. I'm gonna tell y'all, like I told Rachel off camera, off air. If Tim's wrote it, have Tim sing it. I think I would have loved to hear Tim sing this over Rihanna. Especially if you Rihanna, you ain't dropping no music in a minute. Like this ain't
especially because she ain't dropping no album. She got the Super Bowl performance, all that. She already said she ain't dropping no album. So this all was just to get y'all hype. It worked.
Not me. You need a singer. It's a memorialization. We're memorializing T'Challa. I want somebody that's gonna be on key and on pitch and can emote the significance and the severity of the moment. Like that's what I was looking for. People kept saying on the Bird app, like, "Oh, y'all wanted a twerk anthem." No, I understand what the song is. I just want somebody that can sing it to sing it. That's all.
Once again, Tim's would have been perfect. She wrote it, just have her sing it the whole nine. But you know,
hell, and she African. Shit.
Straight up, honestly, wouldn't let that happen to me. Anything. I didn't write anything down just for the simple fact that this is as much as we love this, it is a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a superhero movie. So a lot of this was just, following what happened. But I got a little trivia and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. We already talked about the coastal language. Black Panther, the character Black Panther was created in July of 1966, 2 months prior to the founding of the Black Panthers. So obviously when the comics first came out, a lot of people were turned off on it because they thought it was associated with the Black Panther Party. So they tried to change the name to the Black Leopard and that just didn't stick. So they ended up back to the Black Panther. And obviously it's still here to this day, but I thought that was very interesting. I know a lot of people think like, was this inspired by the Black Panthers? Nah, but it was actually a 2-month difference between when this character dropped and when the party was started.
Wow.
Michael B. Jordan entered production late, intentionally, and kept his distance intentionally from the rest of the cast because his character he wanted it to be, I don't want to be too buddy-buddy with everybody so I can get my best performance on screen. I think that might have, we talked about, is this his best performance? I think that played a lot into it. And he talked about needing therapy afterwards to get back to himself. He was really isolated and wrapped up in this character. And a lot of actors talk about that. Like sometimes you get so deep that you kind of lose track of who you are as an individual. So he talked about the therapy journey and things like that. Rachel, you funny as fuck.
Because I feel her. I already know what you're thinking, and I feel the same way. I'm like, all right, man.
I mean, it was no Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Right.
Black man in America. Nigga, we all need therapy.
Nigga, you lived your everyday life.
What the fuck is you talking about?
If you wasn't a celebrity with millions of dollars, it's regular nigga shit every day. The fuck is you talking about?
Hey, y'all wild, man.
Niggas need therapy though, so let me stop.
Right, that's all. Just say that. Just say that. I don't blame the movie.
I think everything else that I think I pretty much tied into the rest of the episode. I think we dropped little nuggets here and there about a lot of the trivia that I had. You got anything, School?
Did you talk about the name, the Wakanda, where it came from?
No.
Okay, the name Wakanda comes from the Wakamba tribe of Kenya, also known as the Kamba. Yeah, the Kamba. So okay, that's where it came from.
I didn't know
Kenya.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well,
Shout out to Coogler, man.
Shout out to Coogler, man. Shout out to this cast. Shout out to this film. It is, like I said, for something, as someone who has watched every single Marvel thing, film, the shows on Disney Plus. Like I said, I even watched the animated series, the What If. Like I'm a Marvel fan. I grew up really reading DC comics more than anything, but Marvel, as far as this MCU, kind of got it going. I'll never forget 2008 when you had Dark Knight, which is obviously DC, and Iron Man come out. Just kind of really shapes the next 10 to 15 years of superhero movies. And if we look at where we are in 2022, those are the highest grossing movies. Like, it's not your Jurassic Park, so we don't have those Titanic.
Yeah.
That's what people are going out for, and that's why they keep making them. That and Fast and Furious. So,
and if you told me in 2008 that DC wouldn't be up to par, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
2008, you would smack somebody. Like, get the fuck out.
We grew up with we grew up on Michael Keaton Batman and things like that, and that's just, I know we had the conversation earlier about recasting, T'Challa, but we grew up with, having Michael Keaton and having Val Kilmer and then having George Clooney and all that, but this one's different. But
yeah,
fresh. It felt like it was made for us. And when you have a multi-billion-dollar franchise like the MCU, for them to just put trust in Coogler, to put his touch on it, and he didn't try to MCU it. He just said, this is a black film with these black heroes that already exist. Yep. Here y'all go. And I think that's why it resonates so much with a lot of us.
I love it.
And I love it, man. I really love this film. I just can't say I can't say enough good things about it. And I appreciated what it did for the culture.
Yeah.
What's up, Rachel?
That's exactly what I was about to say. I love how little black boys and girls felt after seeing this movie. Like, all those pictures of them in their little costumes and the cameos and pop-ups from impersonators and people in costumes just being there and showing up. I love how little black kids felt after seeing Black Panther. Like, top tier feeling.
Without question.
I love that I was brought back to being a little black kid. You know what I mean? Like that. I can only imagine how they felt. And shout out to what you was talking about with Coogler. And I really felt like Coogler came with this script and came to MCU and said, give me the marks that need to be hit in this story. And that's all I need. And he perfectly.
I'll take care of everything else.
I'll take care of everything else. Yeah. And he did.
It was great. I think it's definitely if you don't count like the Endgame and stuff like that, like some of the bigger Avengers movies and stuff like that, it's easily top 5, probably top 3 Marvel movies for me. Yeah. It's a lot of good ones, but that I enjoy. But Black Panther it means the most to me easily. Like, you know what I mean? My best film, but it means the most to me without question, not even close.
Should I go and watch all of these Marvel movies?
I have to rush into it. Like I said, T'Challa only is in 4 movies. He's in obviously Black Panther. He's in Captain America: Civil War. He's in Infinity War and Endgame. It is something that I think that you would enjoy, but do it when you have your own time to do it. Like, don't sit there and try to rush it, because there's a lot of stuff they put out since 2008, and there's some movies that just aren't as good. Thor: Dark World. It's not really a good movie. And if you watch them in order, it's one of those things like, all right, like when I can see Rachel right now at the crib trying to get through Incredible Hulk and just saying, when T'Challa and them show back up.
Yeah. That would very much be me. Random fact, I went on like one of my first dates to go see the Incredible Hulk back in the day. Like the one that came on like 03.
Hold on, the Eric Bana Incredible Hulk or the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk?
The one that came out in like 03. I don't know.
The second one came out in 2008 after Iron Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it was back in the day.
Yeah, I think you would like all the Iron Man. Anything with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, you would like, because he's he the man. And this is the only, I don't know if I said this too, this is the only MCU movie that hit $1 billion that didn't have Tony Stark in it.
That makes sense though.
So, just want to shout that out. Too high, too low, just right. 7.3 is what the average rating is.
That's low.
What you got? What you got?
I think that's too low. I'm giving it a 9. 9.5.
Ooh, you say 9.5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got it at 8.
I had it at 8. And culturally, yeah, 9.5.
Mhm.
If I'm just looking at it from a movie standpoint, I'll give it an 8. 7.3 is definitely too low, especially when I saw some of the other movies that they had ranked higher.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell no, there's no way Doctor Strange is better than Black Panther. Like,
Nah.
and I like
Racism.
facts because I was reading a lot of reviews, not like critic reviews, user reviews.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Mhm.
go into that, man. That's just where we are in the world. But
Sad.
keep hating. Ninth highest rating film, or not rated, but grossing film of all time.
And we about to hit it again because it's Friday.
Yeah,
About to spend this dollar again.
Please
that's
go out
it.
and support. That was part of the reason we wanted to do a ticket giveaway.
Yes.
We want to make sure we support these films. There's a lot of good Black films coming out, but
Yes.
with our fallen brother Chadwick and what this means to that cast, to us as a community, it's just real important that everybody goes out opening weekend, and check this film out. If you have time, if you have resources, go do it again and again and again. I would really love to see this hit a Billy again. I love to see the cast get their recognition, Cougar get their recognition.
Yes.
And for the world just to know, man, like, we don't care about none of that. It ain't stopping us. So Wakanda Forever out this week. Shout out to y'all. School, Rachel, thank y'all as always. Listeners, thank y'all as always. We really appreciate this. Like, you don't understand how much fun we just have just talking shit about movies.
Yes.
And man, like, if I can go back to 2018 for that weekend, man, what a time.
What a time.
And this is why we love film.
Yes.
This is why moments like this.
Before we head out, I want to say this too. If you have time, look up Chadwick surprising people. I believe it was on the not Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon show. He was surprising people. They were just look it up, man.
I think it was Kimmel. You talking about when they were talking about how the movie and then he popped out? Yeah, that was Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh my!
Look it up on YouTube.
Look
it was
that
cool.
Up on YouTube, bro. You'll see.
And it goes to what Rachel said at the beginning of the episode, how everybody who worked with him just had so much respect for him.
Yes.
You can see why in clips like that. Like, there's sometimes people you're just drawn to.
Yeah.
And they just get factor. And he was just one of them people, man, that just obviously we don't know him personally, but you can just tell he made the world better. The world was better with him in it.
Yes.
And just, man, just such a tragic loss. But go to the doctor too. Y'all,
check it out.
Get checked out, all that stuff, man. So, disease is unfortunately like real, and we just gotta make sure we take care of ourselves. Obviously, you can't do anything about something like that, but let's take all our the measures we can. But man, Chadwick, we miss you.
Yes.
Forever, our King T'Challa.
Forever.
Like I said, we'll do more Chadwick movies, and we'll do an episode on them. But
yes,
Black Panther out this weekend, classic. Thank y'all for tuning in with us. That's pretty much all I got. Y'all be cool how y'all be cool.
Peace out. And cut, guys. It's a wrap.
Oh, snap.